Got it.
Over to you, Ian.
Okay, I'll share the screen. Hopefully this will work. So, yes, hello, as it says, my name's Ian. Some of you know me in Swanage from some of the Stand in the Park groups, etc. Some of you know me as the international lover and playboy. But tonight it's just me, this chap called Ian, who's going to hopefully bring you a little bit of something that you've not seen or heard before, unless of course you've seen my presentation before. So thank you all very much for coming along and listen and having a look. So nearly 8 years ago, I came across this particular truth, which turns out to be the greatest deception that mankind has ever had. I'm not the first to get it. A lot of people get it. I'm not the last to gonna get it. I put a presentation together to tiptoe through the history of flat Earth so that people can have a little bit of a grounding, and there's plenty of other research resources for this subject. Before we start, I'd just like to point out that everything you see today in this presentation is fully researchable. There are better links. There are much more avenues to research. This is just a history to the best that I can do it for now. It's about an hour long, hour and 10. I'll go through it as quickly as I can. And like I say, at the end for questions, because most of the things will probably be covered in this presentation. For this new truth and reality. So there you go. Right. So what's reality? What is reality? You know, we have to understand, do we even know what our reality is? How do we define our reality? Well, if you were just dropped on this earth and you couldn't speak, you would work it out with your senses. We as humans are given senses. We're given all the 5 senses plus common sense, which seems to be bashed out of us all the time. So, you know, if you put your hand in a fire, it's going to burn. You're never going to do it again. So your senses prevent you from doing that. So does your common sense. Truth, though, truth is this is we were just having this conversation, Susan and I, about how we define truth. Now, most of us don't question truth because it's given to us by parents or academia or doctors or people that we laud as enough to give our power away because we don't think they're going to lie. They're cleverer than us. So basically, and with the advent of television as well, we sometimes see things, we believe things that we've never seen or experienced for ourselves. And you know, sometimes we prefer to, you know, hold on to these comforting lies, which they are, because knowing the truth sometimes is too bad. And, you know, for some of you, if you've not been into this subject at all, we'll find perhaps some of the things I say challenging. It does cause a neurological response. It's called cognitive dissonance. It says here, when people hold a core belief that's really strong, when someone presents new evidence to them, could be on any topic, it goes against the programming that they've had, and it makes them extremely uncomfortable, and generally they lash out and they shout and they do whatever. With that in mind, it's something that you might experience if you've not seen this subject before. So let's go. There we are. That's where we live. That's where we are told we live, on a great big spinning ball. We can't remember when we knew we lived on it, but we all know, right? So what I say at this point is, well, okay, fine. We live on it. That's it. It's a given. Okay, I'll give up. We live on it. So we must know a few things about it. How big is it? Anybody in the audience want to stick a hand up? No, right? Because you don't know. How many people knows how fast it spins and at what angle? None. No, it's very rare that people know these answers. How many people know how fast it's moving through space? None. Nobody does. But you know you live on it. You know that that's a globe and you live on it because science or whatever. And there's obviously a curvature measurement that science gives us all around this ball. So from anywhere on this ball, there's a drop off. There's a measurement of curvature, which science gives us. And that's approximately 8 inches per mile squared. But we'll come back to all of that later. The thing with this is, when I was at school, when we were taught about these things, I was always taught the sun never moved. It stayed in the sky somehow, and we all went around it. And that's really what I'm quite convinced we were taught at school. This, however, and just bear with me on this, is our current accepted model. Can you see the screen? Just a yes? Yes, you can. This is our current accepted model. Would you believe? It's a sun that goes through an infinite universe forever at 500,000 miles an hour, taking, in this corkscrew pattern, everything with it, every planet doing exactly that. We're going round that sun at 66,600 miles an hour. Remember those numbers, 666, they don't do it for fun. While spinning at 1,040 miles an hour at the equator, all of which you can't feel. All of which you can't feel. You can feel movement in your car, on the walks at the fairground, you can feel all that. We're supposed to be having 4 different speeds and motions with the Earth, speeding up and slowing down. We feel nothing, and none of it is testable or measurable. But that's what they tell us. That's what they tell us. That's it. That's the accepted model. That's it. Tough luck. You can't do anything else. That's what we do. And that's it. So it's not testable or measurable. So could there obviously be a situation where we have been lied to? Well, yes, we all know that. They lie about everything, every day, all the time. And basically, the research that we've all done over the past 8 years on this last resurgence of the flat Earth is that we agree with the ancient cultures. We agree with what we can research is that, you know, all of the ancient cultures knew it was a flat stationary plane. And from the beginning of like recorded history, every single one of these that you see here, Mayan, Norse, Egyptian, Hindu, Chinese, and when I say everyone, I mean everyone had a flat stationary plane covered with a dome. That was it. That was how the world was perceived back in the day. And they believed it to be a flat stationary disc-shaped plane. Now, this is commonly known as an azimuthal equidistant projection, which is exactly how our continents are laid out. This is it. Now, what you'll see here, these ancient people, a lot of these ancient cultures believe that the North Pole here in the middle of this map is the center. It's the magnetic north where everything points to. And above that magnetic North Pole was situated a star called Polaris. Now, it's the only star in the sky that does not move. It does not move at all. And obviously all the ancient cultures believe that the stars came in 2 kinds. Now, the 2 kinds being fixed and wandering stars. Now, your fixed stars are the ones you can go out to at night, night after night, and you'll see them. Now, bearing in mind, you're traveling 5 billion miles every year, and you're still seeing that same star. There's no parallax, there's nothing. So you have fixed stars in their fixed relative positions, and you have the wandering stars, which are, of course, what we call planets. So all named after gods, by the way. Venus.
Ian, sorry, the videos aren't playing. Are you playing them?
I am playing the videos. Are they not playing?
I think you're not sharing. Are you just sharing the PowerPoint app and not the desktop?
I'm on it, which is quite annoying. Bear with me just a second. Thank you, by the way. I think I have to do this stop sharing thing, do I not?
Well, we spoke about this at the beginning. If you just pull up your video, the appropriate video, go back down on your bar.
Yeah. That's the appropriate video, for example, that one. And yeah, I went down to my bar for the PowerPoint thing, but you can't see the video, can you? So we've got to stop sharing and then reshare again. Is that right, with the video?
You can try it that way, but we did manage not to do that.
Yeah, I think we have to do it once. I think we have to do it once and we stop screen sharing. Well, sorry, I'll give it a go. Just bear with us a second. I'll stop sharing and then start again. Just bear with. Video back on to screen share. That. Oh no, it wasn't that. It's just nothing, isn't it? Oh, bear with. Bear with. Just bear with.
We're fine.
Okay, now this plugin is required. No thanks. Bear with me, please. Just bear with me.
It's okay. We're all really chilled here.
Thank you.
Just the way we are.
Can you see it now?
No.
No.
Do you remember? Did you select your share screen again before you select the video?
It says it needs a something to install. Share an iPhone or iPad screen. Well,
No.
neither. So
No, you just want to go share screen, the green button at the bottom of your screen again.
Yep.
And make sure that that tick box in the bottom left for your sound is ticked still.
Yep.
And then select the video from your desktop or from the array that you have.
Okay. Can you now see?
Well, we're seeing, let's try and play it and I'll tell you if it's moving. This is a Venus orbit.
Yep. Can you see that?
Okay. Yep. Thank you.
Excellent. Okay. So getting back to, sorry about that. Getting back to the planets, as it were, the wandering stars and all of the fixed stars. Venus, 255-day orbit, makes the flower of life. So, you know, with a cymatic pattern backwards and forwards that it does, they all do that. They're all very small and close to us. So you can see what they do over and above our flat Earth each time. Right, let's have a look. There we go. Right, sorry. Back to the picture of the yin-yang symbol. Now, the ancient people used to think that the sun and the moon were actually the same size, not one 93 million miles away and the other one 400 times nearer. They knew them to be at the same size. They knew that the sun was an antiseptic, warm, nurturing light, and they knew that the moon was the opposite, the complete opposite. It was a cold, septic and damaging light. And by the way, the yin-yang symbol, you just think it's night and day or good and bad. It's not. It's actually caused by the sun's shadow length over our flat Earth. If you take this as our flat Earth, it's measured at each solstice and at equinox, and that's what actually happens. That's the shadow sun length that it produces for you. So it genuinely does give you the yin-yang symbol. So when people think it's something else, it's not. It is the sun and the moon's journey shadow lengthening the whole of our flat Earth. You may not have known that. I didn't. Let's have a look. Where are we? We've got that. Now, this is important because the ancient cultures, a lot of people say, well, how does the sun move? How does it work? How does it work? The sun is small and close. Okay, we'll come to it in a minute. But the ancients thought that the sun moved like this. The sun begins its journey at the Tropic of Capricorn, which is our winter solstice, which is the yellow line on the outside. Now, when it's our winter, it's Australia's summer, and you can see Australia in the top right there. So when it makes its fastest and largest circle over the Earth is when it's our winter solstice. And for the next 3 months, every day the sun narrows its path and slows its speed until it gets to the spring equinox, where it moves from that Tropic of Capricorn to the equator, which is the middle red ring. And then another 3 months, it comes up towards June, where it goes on to the Tropic of Cancer, where we experience our summer. And it stays there for a while. And every day after June the 21st, it goes out a bit, widens its circle, and it does that whole spiral thing in and out forever, tested and measured a million times. So that's what the ancients used to think how their sun traveled. They thought exactly the same with the moon as well, but it just took a little bit longer in its cycle. So those were the observations they made, and those are the measurements that they took. Now, for centuries, for the history that we know, for centuries, all of the ancients used to think there was either a dome that was over our thing, and they never had, for which everything was inside. They never had the continent in any of the flat Earth maps. You never see the continent of Antarctica. So some cultures believe that the physical solid dome firmament to which the stars are all attached, some cultures mythologize that from the center point, the tree of life went up and that the stars were all the branches of the tree. So that's what the ancient peoples used to believe. Now, they also thought this southern circumference, this ice here, they thought they had a disc-shaped plane. They were surrounded by an ice wall about 200 feet high, which kept their water in. It kept their oceans in. Water needs a container. And beyond this ice wall, some people thought that there was an end stopping point of the dome or more land. Those are the things that we can research in our history that can tell us what the ancient cultures thought about where they lived. Now, there are lots and lots of maps. And like I said, you don't find Antarctica on a flat Earth map because you don't have these continents here. Antarctica comes when you do when you get a ball, and I'll show you something later, and you do a top-down thing. Antarctica, which is what they lie about being a continent on the bottom of a spinning ball, is actually the ice wall. It comes round and surrounds all of our continents, and it keeps all our water in. It's that simple. It's that simple. And, you know, it's not, I mean, if you ever want to get, we'll get into the gravity bit in a minute, but they want you to believe you're on a ball moving at all those ridiculous speeds and you have dead still water. It's insane. It's a programming thing. And so all of the flat Earth maps are depicted with various things going around the outside. You'll see this map here, which is a supposed 1,000-year-old map from a Chinese monastery. You'll see all our parts in the middle. You'll see lots and lots of further lands outside. You know, there's plenty of maps. This is the Urbano Monte map. We saw Scott, who's in here. We both went to a local exhibition recently where we saw a full-size version of this. And you'll look where Antarctica should be. There is all this land, and this is from the 1500s. So we don't know what was there before the ice, if anything, or this might be a depiction of further lands over the ice. We don't know. This map, flat Earth map from 1920. We were talking about this earlier with Susan about, you know, how old is it? How long, how far back? This is from the 1920s, where they were still showing you the flat Earth map. They were showing you a projection of it being flat. And you go, you'll notice here, east and west become circles. Okay, east and west are circles. We'll come back to that in a minute. But the fact that it's from the 1920s is very, very strange indeed. And there's, you know, we know that the flat Earth was taught in some places in America up until the 50s, but we'll come to that later. But no one knows really what's going to go beyond the ice walls. We don't really know. We're prevented from finding out by something called the Antarctic Treaty, which we'll come to a little bit later. Now, things we can confirm what the ancients thought. We can confirm there are 200-foot ice walls. There's loads of them, loads of them. There's the ledge, that's over the top. Hundreds and hundreds of pictures of it. We can also confirm Polaris, the center star above the magnetic North Pole, never moves, as you can see depicted in these star trails. They don't move. Get your camera, set it up to where Polaris is, leave on a long exposure, you'll have that. If you don't know where Polaris is, you'll know the plow. If you look at the last star on the plow, just follow it straight up and you'll come to Polaris. We can also confirm, we can test and measure where the sun is at any particular time. There was a book out called The Measurement of the Sun, I think done in 2016-17, where the flat Earth community had people all across this plane pinpointing when the solar noon was. You know, when there's no shadow cast, you know the sun's above you, it's your solar noon. So it was tracked, and it was completely tracked. I'll try and give you a link for the book in the comments. So we can track that as the ancients did. We can also measure, like I say, between the movement between the tropics. Lastly, we can confirm that the sun doesn't, the Earth doesn't move at all. It does not move. It's completely motionless. And something you'll find is the horizon always rises to your eye level. This is an insane thing. And again, it's a practical experiment you can all do. That was at sea level. This is at about 5,000 feet. And you'll see the horizon there, and it's at line with my eye level. This is at 30,000 feet through a window. There are pictures of stuff that we've done 127,000 feet in weather balloons, amateur weather balloons, showing a complete flat stationary Earth at your eye level. Now, this particular thing here, simple horizon test that I have to go back here for, will show you, this is what you see on the right. That's how you see things on the right. When you go up, the floor goes, but the horizon stays level. If you were on a globe of any kind going up, you would see what's on the left. You don't. You simply don't. That's it. There's not really a lot else to say. You can do your own visual and optical experiments with it, but that's what you see. And obviously, people say, you know, oh, I've seen curvature from the aeroplane window at 30,000 feet. No, you haven't. You haven't. You see curvature of the runway as well. All planes have curved windows. If you look in the center of a plane, anytime, any out of the window, it's always flat and it's always at eye level, and that's it. In fact, I'll be honest with you, there is no scientific test or measurement that can prove curvature. There's been plenty that have tried, but they failed. There's hundreds of laser experiments over 50, 60, 70 miles, hundreds. I'll come to the maths of what they tell you the curvature rate should be towards the end. But there you go. That's what the ancients thought. That's what we sort of confirm from them. But this is the history. So I'm going to run through the history because it's a little bit boring, but there's stuff that you'll find and you may need it. Right. Pythagoras. In the history that we can find, I don't believe our history is completely true at all. None of us do. But in the history that's available to us about the Earth and about the people that talk about it, this is what we can find. Pythagoras, about 500 BC, considered to be a Freemason. He's a very dirty, mystery-schooled, greasy man, let's say. And if you've not researched him, have a look. He first theorized that the Earth could be round quite easily. He said, it could be round. If the sky is spinning, then of course, you know, if the sky is as it is, it could easily be explained away if we were spinning. He never really took hold, that never really caught on for at least 2,000 years, but that's what we can find about it. And next up, this chap here is Aristotle, about 400 BC, he thought, and I'll come to this bit, he thought that the Earth was round because he could see ships disappearing over the curve of the horizon. Now, we know this is a widely claimed stupidity proof today because people see that. They optically see that. What they don't realize is they're seeing it perhaps at 2 or 3 miles away. They're seeing the boat go under the horizon, which means the Earth must be, what, 12 miles round, something like that. This, what you're seeing on the screen now, is quite simply, if you see a boat go over, it's not so much it's going over a curve, it's the limit of your eyes. All you need to do, get a telescope, binoculars, bring it back into view, like you've just seen. You would not see at this level here, the boat doesn't even show. You can't even see the boat. So you would automatically assume it's gone over a curve. It clearly hasn't. It's still in the water, but it's miles away out of your angular resolution for your eye. Let's have a look. Next up, Eratosthenes. I don't know if you've heard of this chap. He is the people say this about this guy because he did the stick and shadow experiment. You might hear it. Everybody says, oh, they figured it out thousands of years ago with some sticks and shadows. Well, they didn't. What they did do, or what we can find out, is about 250 BC, a geographer and a mathematician called Eratosthenes tells an experiment which claimed proof of a spherical Earth. This was in a place called Syene, which is now Aswan in Egypt. He knew that at his solar noon over his head, it wouldn't cast a shadow into his well. So we know it'd be full sunlight. Now, he had a friend. This is the stupidity of the story. He had a friend 575 miles away in 250 BC in Alexandria, where he could simultaneously measure. When he said, how he contacted him and said, yeah, there's no shadow in my well, go for it, take your measurement. I don't know, but this is what we're led to believe. He measured an angle off the wall at 7.2 degrees, and that was it, times it all up. The Earth's round and it's 24,900 miles round. Okay, and that's it. The problem is, obviously, you have to assume a few things for that. You have to assume all sunlight comes in parallel, which it does not. And to be honest, a small flat desk, couple of beer bottles and a torch, you have the same effect. So it's a pointless, ridiculous, bogus experiment. And what we've also found is because the sun moves around us, that the actual solar noon in Alexandria was a full 12 minutes before it even reached the well. So it's a complete bogus story. There's no record of the solar noon appearing. It's a fake. So ridiculous as it was proven ridiculous with the invention of this thing, the nautical sextant. Now, using sextants and plane trigonometry, PLANE, you can literally measure the sun's angle, from 2 points on the Earth simultaneously. And once you factor in that distance from each other, you can use a bit of Pythagorean maths and you can calculate both its height and dimensions. Now, using this tool, the sun and the moon have both been calculated repeatedly, thousands of times, at about 32 miles in diameter. That's all they are. They're discs 32 miles wide and approximately, with the measurement, 3,000 miles in the sky. Okay. Now, one other thing that this thing proves, this nautical sextant proves one thing. You cannot get an elevation angle to anything unless you have a flat baseline. Okay, so you have to have a completely flat baseline. So that's how you measure an angle. Let's have a look. The sun's not 93 million miles away. Look at the light. Look at it. Use your senses that you were given. The sun's up the top here. The sun's up the top. You follow the rays. You do it in art. When you have art, you where the sun is, you do the same thing. You have to calculate. And the sun's just up there. That's where the sun is, giving those light rays like that. Or if it was 93 million miles away and coming in parallel, they'd all be straight. End of. They also say, this is called crepuscular rays, by the way, which you see rays going up and down. You cannot have that on a globe, and you cannot have that if the sun is 93 million miles away. There is no sign, and the reason you can't do that is because the sun's supposed to come in parallel. You have a light source there generating those things, and it's not 93 million miles away. Now, to be fair, after Mr. Eratosthenes and his pretend stick and shadows with his 250 BC iPhone that he must have called his friend from, all the globe Earth theories had pretty much vanished. They were gone, they were gone. And just going back to here, the sun is small and close. Look, this is a dog cam webcam that was sent up 122,000 feet. There is a hot spot on the cloud. Okay, there is the sun. It's there. It's not 93 million miles away. It's right there, leaving that reflection right there, that hot spot. So it's very, very important that, it's a change from what you know and what you believe. This is another one, completely flat horizon, 127,000 feet. A lot of people say that, the sun doesn't move. It stays the same size. Of course it does. Are you mad? No, it doesn't. It's impossible for the sun to appear to change size if it's 93 million miles away. You wouldn't know. You wouldn't know, but you see it visually. You can do it there yourself. You can see on the screen. It's a small sun and it illuminates locally and it travels over us. We don't move. So that's what we know. Now, as it's history, 1522, we're going to skip through these. A Portuguese chap named Ferdinand Magellan. He claimed to sail, first man to sail around the world. Yeah, great. No worries. Like I said to you, east and west, no problem at all. Hundreds of people have sailed around. Thousands of people have gone around the world. What they haven't done, they've always gone east and west. What they do when they navigate in ships is they use north as their compass point. So if you head off too far, you just rear-gate with north and you rear-gate with north again. And when you're doing that, going east and west, all you're doing is going around in a circle. That's why it's quite easy to circumnavigate the Earth. Let's have a look. Now, what they haven't done, what no one has ever done, and they're even on a globe, which they can't do, no one has gone from the North Pole down to the South Pole, round the other side of the globe and back up. Nobody. Sir Ranulph Fiennes, Freemason, said he did about 10 years ago with no data points whatsoever. Obviously, they're still trying to maintain this line. You'd have to go from the middle here, all the way down across the ice wall and come up at the top and back to do north to south. You can't. This is north. Everywhere away from the middle is south. So, yeah, like I said, he didn't have any data points for his crossing in Antarctica. And Antarctica being patrolled by the military under the orders of the United Nations. There you are. If you've never seen the flat Earth before and you think, I've never seen the flat Earth before, what are you talking about? You've all seen the United Nations logo and it's right in front of your face. You're not aware of it. That's all. There you go. Just did a little picture going in there. And obviously they do those things. They like to mock us. We're all semi-awake. We all understand how they like to mock us. They're doing it. They hidden in plain sight. That is how they do it. So there you go. Right. Let's move on with the history. Oh, here we go. Nicholas Copernicus, face like a I leave it to your imagination. He was an admitted Freemason in history as well. Released a book days before he died in 1543 called On the Revolution of Celestial Spheres, where he decided through Freemasonry, no doubt, to fancifully revive the heliocentric, sun-centered nonsense that Pythagoras first postulated. His book tells of a spinning globe, tells of a tilting, wobbling thing that carries on moving. And he was laughed at by his peers. One of his peers at the time was a chap called Tycho Brahe. He said, if Copernicus thought the Earth was a globe, spinning and moving all the time, why didn't the stars show any signs of parallax? Well, you'll notice that if you ever go and do a practical experiment and look at the fixed stars tonight when you go out, you'll see they don't move, you're not traveling, there's no parallax movement between them. Basically, Copernicus solved all those problems by placing them quadrillions of miles away, all with mathematics, by the way, not with any practical stuff. He thought, well, if they don't move, if I put them far enough away, they'll appear as if they don't move. So then he was questioned by his peers, well, if they're that far away, how can we see them at that distance? Oh, don't worry, I'll make some more maths. They are enormous. I'm making them so big that they are so enormous that you can just about see them from that far away. His contemporaries wanted to dismiss his theories at that time. You know, they were laughing at him, but he did have some numbers, and this is where we get with this. You don't question authority. He proclaimed that the correct distance to the sun was, in fact, 3,391,000 miles away. That's how far he thought it was. Now, in 1573, we just mentioned Tycho Brahe. He was a Danish astronomer. He was financed by Rudolf II of Germany. He was an emperor. He had a most lavish astronomical observatory for its time. So no money was spared. And Brahe was a practical observer, like we can be. We go outside, we look at the stars, we make observations. He was very good at it. He understood how the heavens worked. He understood the cosmology of it all. This chap, Johannes Kepler, Freemason, by the way, there's a thread here. In the books that we can read about Kepler and Tycho Brahe's exchanges, there was lots of arguments. It led to him being fired, by the way. After a couple of months, he got fired, and that was the end of it. A year or so later, much groveling ensued, and he took back Kepler. A month later, Tycho Brahe died. That's it. He got murdered. He was done, probably by this guy. But it did allow the Freemasonry chap to then become the primary leading imperial astronomer of that day. So you can see how Freemasonry is working even back then to attain all the information. But even he had numbers. He said that the sun was 12 million miles away. So there you go. Now, another challenger to the flat stationary plane was an Italian man called Galileo. He simply starts making telescopes, but he's also famed for writings about tides and the pull of the water to make the tides, whilst constantly moving in a crazy upward direction and spinning around the sun. Now, this caused the movement of the water, and therefore this is what caused the tides. Now, a thing about tides, I don't know if you know about this. We see tides going in and out. We are taught it's from the moon. Most places in the world have at least two tides, So we'd have to have at least two moons going around every 24 hours. We don't. The tides are not caused at all by the moon. Some places have 4, 5 tides. They're quite common all around the world. We don't have 4 or 5 moons. We have 1 moon. So it's not it. And of course, the moon doesn't affect large bodies of water. It's only salt water that has tides. Lakes and everything else stay completely calm and flat, have no inference at all. But there you go. Not only that, though, he did make Aristotle, our friend before, who used to see ships going over the horizon. He meant the telescope, and obviously 2 years later would have proved him an idiot. But there you go. That's how it was. Now, this one, oh dear, where do we go? Sir Isaac Newton, 1687, writes a book called Principia de Mathematica, which is presented his idea of gravity for the very first time. Now, remember, remember, we're 100 odd years or 200 years away since Copernicus's book of a globe, tilting, wobbling and moving. They were laughing at him at that point because they were saying, well, how does the water stay there? He didn't have the answers. He didn't know. This Freemason, by the way, explained his idea of gravity. And for many years, the idea of a spinning ball, like I say, was a ridiculous joke in the community. So in order to counter it, gravity was invented. And this is what it is. Now, gravity draws, or what he said was draws everything to the center of our Earth. Now, just while we're on that, the center of our Earth, I haven't got the picture. I should have it. You know, the cutaway you're shown at school, and you got the mantle, the crust, and then you got down and you got this tiny, hot, molten, crazy thing that makes our electromagnetic field and also helps with gravity, according to new stuff. Well, that's a lie as well, clearly. We have only ever drilled down 7.6 miles. That's it. It was in 2010. It's the Kola well in Russia. We couldn't get any further than that. We don't have the technology or drill bits to go any further. Something solid there, not there. That's in 7 miles. Ground penetrating radar will give you 200 feet. And they want to tell us that in the middle, thousands and thousands and thousands of miles, there's this hot ball, which creates a magnetic field. It's a molten ball of iron. Do a little bit of research. No metal whatsoever holds any electromagnetic charge in its molten state. You know, and we're taught these things, and we repeat them. We repeat them out. Yes, there's a core. We did it. Insane. And it was sort of at this time where he was, he was told or spoken about being that there must be some occult influences in his work. And well, Freemasons, anyone, you know, there you go. Gravity is density and buoyancy. Why things fall down is because you have a negative charge on the Earth. The Earth is negative. It is flat. It is Earth. The higher you go up in meters, I think it's for every 100 or for every 10 meters or something, there's 100 volts. The reason things fall down is because there's an electromagnetic nothingness to make it fall down towards the Earth. That's all. That's it. That's why things fall down. Gravity, which they tell you is a force that sucks things down to the floor, is nonsense. It's density and buoyancy. You're seeing this thing here. The ping pong ball should be sucked through. It's not. The cherry should be sucked through, all of that stuff, because gravity pulls everything down. Like all the fish in the sea should be at the bottom of the floor. Now, density and buoyancy are very clever things, because if you have rain in the air, the water is heavier than the medium it surrounds, so it falls down. If you have bubbles in water, they are lighter than the medium it surrounds. They go up. Very similar to what we have in our equalization of gas pressures outside. So when you have a helium balloon, it's lighter than the medium of oxygen. It goes up. Simple as that. So when a hammer, you let it go, it will fall down because it's heavier than the medium it surrounds. And that's it. That is what they are trying to tell you. There's a specific special magic force that you can't test or measure, but it's definitely there. So that's gravity. Now, with Newton's gravitational nonsense, they had to change it because they realized all his calculations led to a singularity where all of the universe would get squashed into oblivion. They counter that now with dark energy, which is basically pretend anti-gravity. But then the calculations showed everything would move away and rip the whole fabric of pretend space. So they couldn't do anything. So now, to balance all of those calculations, you have to make up something called dark matter to hold something else which isn't real, called gravitons and dark energy. You can't see them. They'll first to admit 96% of the universe is made up of dark energy that we don't know about. It's insane. But they want to tell you that gravity is real. It is just one big psyop after another. An apple fell on his head. If it had fallen in the water, what calculations would he have done for it rising back up? And what calculations did he have for the apple still on the tree? These are all stories. These are all stories to make you think that you can give away your power to these wonderful, wonderful people that, they're not. They're Freemasons. They are liars, and they are there to steal your brain, your soul, your movement. They want to control you, of course. Obviously, all with baseless proof. So But Newton had the numbers as well. Newton had numbers. This is what the thing. He said the sun, it didn't matter if the sun was 28 or 54 million miles away. It made absolutely no difference. So that's what you were dealing with. Okay, so Sir Isaac knew nothing. Never mind. Thank you, Sir Isaac, but you are gone. Here we go. Copernicus, 3 million miles away. Our ball, 92 million miles away. This is 93. This is where we sit now. There's 100 million miles difference in just where the sun is in 500 years. 100 million miles difference. They haven't got a clue. Michio Kaku, or whatever his name is, tells you that most of their science stuff is off by 1 to the factor of 10. When it comes to space, he admits that they are off 1 to the 120th power. That's how much they know nothing about what they think they're researching. Anyway, getting on to the history. Let's go. Captain Cook, 1773, first man to reach the Antarctic ice wall. Now, Antarctica, this is crazy. This is what you're known as Antarctica. Look at it, use your brain, use your brain. What is it? It is a brain. It even has the cerebral cortex come down in the back. This is a made-up landmass. This is not a real thing. Now, it's supposed to be an island of 12,000 miles in circumference. Captain Cook tried to breach said Antarctica, traveled over 60,000 miles to find an inlet, which he didn't. Now, 60,000 miles is at least twice the distance almost of the, it's over twice the distance of what they tell you that the circumference is. So there's a lot of people lying. Now, 1783, the hot air balloon was invented, and for the first time in recorded history, people could go float miles above the earth and see for themselves whether it was round or flat. And of course, it's flat as far as the eye can see, as we know. Now we're moving on forward. 1797. This hideous looking person is Henry Cavendish. He's a British scientist. He's a Freemason. Yes, he's a wealthy grandson of the Duke of Devonshire. He created an experiment. This is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. An experiment which he said, I can measure the constant for gravity. I can tell you how big this is, what the mass is of every planet that there is. And you think, wow, how did he make this quantum leap in science? This is a real picture. He set up two lead balls on a torsion balance in a shed and took observations from a telescope outside of the shed. And that was it. That was it. That is it. That's the basis of where we have all of our fundamental things from. Any slight movement, he did some maths calculations, said, oh, this is how it must be. It's insane. And there's an equally stupid test for 1851. This is a French guy called Leon Foucault. He claimed that the world is indeed spinning. And here's how I can do it, with a pendulum. And it's still in the British museums now. It's battery operated, by the way. It's mechanically operated. It's not a free-flowing thing. You're not told that. You're not told that. You can prove these things yourself. Get a plumb bob, the most ancient thing that builders use to get a level up and down, a plumb bob. When that doesn't spin at 15 degrees an hour, when all those cranes stand still at rest, nothing spins. This is a lie. When you go into the British Museum, if you ever go there, ask them why and how it spins, and can you see the movement that's there? Because there is. It's a mechanically operated thing. That's it. If you do it in real science with a plumb bob, with anything else, it doesn't move because the Earth doesn't move. That simple. Yeah, crazy stuff. But we're told these things. We're told these things, and we don't question. We don't say, well, all of those grandfather clocks that have stopped, that have pendulums, they don't start spinning. No, you have to. It's that logical, using your common sense to work out what's going on. You may or may not have known that that was mechanically operated, so that's something else you have to look at. Anyway, he's a moron. We're not having any more of him. 1864, a book called Zetetic Astronomy was written and published by a chap called Samuel Rowbotham. Now, he was an inventor, an author. He was most famed for something called the Bedford Level Experiment. Now, this is, if you go down to Cambridge, it's called the Old Bedford. It's a lock. It's 20 miles long, 20 miles. No locks, no interruptions. It's a straight shot at 20 miles away. So what he did was to do his experiment. He would put flags each mile for 6 miles, get in the water, telescope, work out where the rate of curvature was and which ones he couldn't see. The top one is what he should have seen. Obviously, it's flat and stationary. He saw the bottom one. So for 6 miles, he could see all the flags. Still, we have done this experiment as well with some of the flat Earth groups that we have. We redid this experiment in 2017 with exactly the same result. So there you go. This is another one. This is incredible. If you look at this one, 1871. The flat Earth was a standard thing. Freemasonry was losing control on what the people were being taught. And after so much pressure from members of the public, this guy is called George Airy. He was the current president of the Royal Astronomical Society at the time. He devised an experiment which he hoped would put pay to all these flat earthers and, you know, geocentric people, where he would devise a thing where he would fill his telescope with water to slow the light down from the stars, and he would have to calculate how often and when he would have to move his telescope to receive the light. Well, clearly he didn't move it, and he could work out that the stars were moving and coming down into his telescope. And it's called Airy's failure. It's a thing called Airy's failure. So all he did was confirm that the sky spins and we do not. This is another example of something that works. These two guys, very eminent physicists, Albert Michelson and Edward Morley, they performed an experiment to determine Earth's speed through space, right? Because that's what we were taught. So what they did was they got this contraption here, concrete block, where they put passed light through 2 pathways, one in the direction of the alleged Earth's motion, and the other, excuse me, with right angles to it. Excuse me. Well, obviously the light traveling with the Earth should have taken longer to return than the light traveling at right angles to it. It didn't. To their surprise, nothing was different at all in any way. So they couldn't prove, it goes down as a non-proof that Earth actually moves into space. So well done for them. Now, getting to the thicker end now, we're almost in our century, as it were. 1900, there are thousands, just let me tell you, right, there are thousands of newspaper articles. If you go, for the example, New York Post, go online, go back, pick a date, 1800s to 1900s, whatever you want, put in the term flat Earth. Thousands and thousands of flat Earth research terms that were being printed. Everybody knew about it. Now, this one, quickly, in 1900, there was a real problem because it's painful to read that Sir John Gorse, the head of the British Educational Department, is in serious trouble and has been threatened by Mr. Ebenezer Breach and our other taxpayers of the city of Portsmouth, no less, in the Kingdom of England, with a persecution under the Impostors Act. And it seems that the schools of Portsmouth have been teaching the damnable and heretical doctrine that the Earth is a sphere. Now, this is in 1900. We were not having it. You know, this guy was going to get put in prison for even attempting to teach it. Like I say, there's hundreds of newspaper articles to support all of these. Okay, there's another one. 1903. We're getting in 1903. These guys invented the aeroplane. And just incidentally, when hot air balloons were invented, people were told the reason that, and we always thought it, you could go up in a balloon, wait for the Earth to turn and just come down, right? That's what it should be. But we're told that that can't happen because gravity, this magical gravity, somehow sticks the entire atmosphere and everything in its place so uniformly you can't feel it, hear it, test it, or measure it, right? And you're going over 1,000 miles an hour. If you're a globe spinning at 1,000 miles an hour, whichever way, the atmosphere has to actually spin faster because it's above you to keep things. It's a joke. And obviously, as aeroplanes developed and the technology can make them fly faster than the alleged speed of the Earth, it's fairly obvious it doesn't move. It's fairly obvious it's getting back your logos again. It doesn't move at all. So, sticking with planes. On a spinning ball Earth model, for example, they tell us that you can't fly over Antarctica because it's too cold, because this pretend island on the bottom of the ball is too cold to fly over. It's insane. The only logical way, if that's the case, to fly from Sydney to Santiago would be a straight shot across the ocean. Just simple like that. You'd stop to refuel, Hawaii, wherever, but they don't. When you look at it on a globe, this goes from the southern hemisphere all the way to the northern hemisphere and twice the distance back down. When you look on a flat Earth map, as you can see over here, it's pretty much straight. It's on the way. So when you know where your continents are laid out correctly, air travel becomes very simple. Plane is called an airplane. It goes up, flies in the air along the plane and lands. That's it. You can't imagine a plane 30,000 feet trying to land on a spinning ball. It's insane. Again, here, Johannesburg to Perth, southern hemisphere, all the way to the northern hemisphere, twice the way back down to get to the southern hemisphere. It's ridiculous. And here it is on a flat Earth map. It's on the way. Okay, it's on the way. And that's how all flights are. You can go and research all the flights yourself, and you'll be able to show them all on a flat map being correct, not up and down. What airline would literally travel from the southern hemisphere 50,000 miles up to the northern and then twice as far back down again? Fuel is it doesn't work like that. That's because it's a flat Earth. Now, at this sort of time, over a decade would still sort of pass from our last thing, and the flat Earth cosmology was it's taught. It's fact. It's done. There was nothing to challenge it apart from this guy. 1916. This is the guy I was telling you, Susan. He come out with his general theory of relativity in one fell swoop, basically, with media and everything else. The heliocentric model was put back into the thrust of people's psyche. It was also at the time when the Rockefellers started to get the education system in through the Americas, which we followed later on, which was all to do with how we're going to restructure this age. And of course, let's bring the science in. Let's tell them again it's a globe, and this clever man. Not a clever man at all. He's a cross-dressing patent clerk. I know it says there's Zionist media fraud and a plagiarist. He stole an awful lot of other people's work. You can see him there wearing what I would call maybe ladies' sandals. I'm not going to go that far. He married his cousin and the two daughters. He lived in a harem. He gave his wife all his Nobel Prize money to keep her quiet. He is not a genius. He's a fraud. There you go. That's they don't teach that. They teach he's the most amazingly clever man in the world and we shouldn't be questioning him, etc. No, he's a scumbag. Now, in 1927, this man first postulated the Big Bang Theory. His name is Jorge Lemaitre. In 1927. He's a Catholic Jesuit priest, by the way. Now, bear in mind, the Big Bang Theory we're taught is back in the day when no one can test, nothing existed, and all of a sudden exploded, and woohoo, here we are. Utterly ridiculous. Where could he have got stupid information like that? What story could he have cooked up? Oh yeah, let me and Einstein have a little look. They are all in it together. They still all in it together. So there you go. Now, moving on slightly more, 1931. That's not Arsene Wenger, the old Arsenal manager. This is Augustus Piccard. I know, the name's crazy. Swiss chap. He's a physicist and inventor, but he was known and published for his record-breaking balloon flights, where he reached various areas of the atmosphere high up. Now, in an article, no idea what this is. There's his balloon, this big aluminium balloon. Photo opportunity. No one had a hat. Put the waste paper baskets on. There we go. No idea. Anyway, in Popular Science magazine in 1931, it's described him going up 9 miles up into the atmosphere with portholes. And these are his words. What did the first man to reach the stratosphere have to say about the Earth's shape? It seemed a flat disk with an upturned edge. That's not me saying it. That's one of their scumbags saying it. Now, through the next decade or so, from the 30s, flat Earth was still openly being taught. We know that in America. And then, of course, the Second World War breaks out. Things such as the V2 rockets were terrifying everybody in Europe and around the world. And this is where it all gets very, very strange from the Second World War onwards. Now, Operation Paperclip, you see here, from 1945 to 1955-ish, I think. They took 1,000 German scientists, all Nazis, all the Gestapos, all the party, brought them in through South America, and then funneled them out to work in places like CIA, the military industrial complex, and particularly NASA. Excuse me, where we're concentrating on this guy here, Werner von Braun. Now, this is a guy who invented the V2 rocket. Very clever man. And he was head of the Apollo program for NASA. This is his gravestone. We'll come back to it again in a minute. That's his gravestone. The grandfather of rocket technology has this as his gravestone plaque. That's it. But he leaves a clue, leaves us a breadcrumb. Psalms 19:1. Now, bearing in mind, Freemasons always reveal the method. That's their thing. We'll come back to that in a minute. 1946, 1947, Operation High Jump, it's called, led by Admiral Richard Byrd. We'll come to him a bit more in a minute. American naval officer, specialized in exploration, Medal of Honor. He was only about 40 at the time. Aviator, polar explorer, been going down to Antarctica for 20 years, like in 1928, I think his first one was. Now, many believe, as the name suggests, high jump. They went up, they went over the ice wall, and they went. Now, it wasn't an ordinary thing. This was very specific, and there was a reason for it. There were nearly 5,000 men went, lots of ships, 30 aircraft carriers, and a whole platoon of people. Now, something's going on in Antarctica. We know that now anyway. That was the start of it when they were doing whatever it is they're doing now. Now, that was in 1946. Next thing I've got as to our story, 1957. This is more insane. Russia are alleged to have launched the first satellite into space. Now, satellites, I don't know if you know, they were first theorized by Freemason Arthur C. Clarke, science fiction writer. Arthur C. Clarke, 1945, he came out with the craziness. Now, satellites. They say there's up to 50,000 satellites. 50,000 satellites floating all around our, what science says is in the thermosphere. These are some of the melting points in the for some of the metals that are used in all the satellites. You can see the melting points at 1,200 degrees there. Now, the thermosphere, just because science tells you it's in the thermosphere, there are degrees of temperature up to 4,500 degrees. There's only two things on that entire list that wouldn't melt. Every component in every satellite, if the thermosphere is 4,500 degrees, would burn. That's it, done. All over, no satellites. And to be fair, you know, satellites are, you can't even get a phone signal sometimes in the woods. You know, you can't, all, forgetting that, all plane navigation back before even satellites were first thought of was done by the Decca and the Loran systems. Work perfectly well. All ground-based systems work perfectly well before pretend satellites came into the things. And nowadays, it's all fiber optic cables. All communication is 98% fiber optic cables. That's it. All GPS signals and gigantic cell towers are how the phones work. There's no satellites for phones. They're all point to point. They're all site to site. That's it. You get a triangulated position for your GPS off of telephone cell towers, and they're everywhere. They're everywhere. There are thousands of them. And of course, if a friend of mine that works in that industry produces the microwaves for all of the BBC digital stuff, and that's all point to point microwaves. They don't work any other way. There's no satellite technology involved for any of your communications, for spying, no doubt. Yeah. Now, starts to get a little bit weirder now. 1958. Operation Deep Freeze 2 was conducted by our old friend Admiral Byrd. Here he is, nice Parker, well done. Now in 1958, this is the same year that NASA was formed, and then 1 year later they formed the Antarctic Treaty. Now that all took place in a very, very short space of a couple of years. So what we have is a situation where they've protected the sky and they're protecting the side. All of these things are being formed in place to do something. Now, Again, like I say, signed in 1958. This is a video of our friend, Admiral Richard Byrd, which I'm going to play at the beginning. Bear with me. Hopefully you can see this, and I'll put the volume up and you can hear what he says about it. This is in, I think this is in the 60s.
North Pole used to be a no man's land, but these are the days when, by buying a ticket on a commercial airliner, you can fly across the North Pole and drink a cocktail at the same time. You know, only 30 or more years ago, about 35 years ago, our guest tonight found out whether there was any land north of the North American continent. He made that first discovery flight, and I must say that Admiral Byrd, our guest tonight, is not only our greatest living explorer, but he's been an inspiration to countless Americans. Admiral Byrd, you've been to both the North Pole and the South Pole. Is there any unexplored land left on this earth that might appeal to adventurous young Americans?
Yes, there is. And not up around the North Pole, because it's getting crowded up there now, because they find out it's really usable, not only to live in, but militarily. But strangely enough, there's left in the world today an area as big as the United States that's never been seen by a human being. And that's beyond the pole on the other side of the South Pole from Middle America. And I think it's quite astonishing that there should be an area as big as that unexplored.
This is a tremendous
So
challenge.
there's a lot of adventure left down at the bottom of the world.
Admiral, do you hope to see that?
I do.
And he did. He did. There is video of that plane flight, and there is video of that further land. Now, you're on a globe. They're telling you you're on a globe. This man has been to Antarctica. He's the most decorated man in the world, telling you, ooh, hold on a minute. There's lots more land. Land the size of America that no one's seen. Are we sure? So, you know, you have to take these things in. And so is there more land? You know, is there more land? We don't know. We don't know. We have some maps as we know of. Now, in 1920, a chap called George Rayner went down to Antarctica, took a series of pictures. Now, bearing in mind in 1920s and before 1959 or 1961, you had independent free travel anywhere you wanted to go. Look at that sky. Now, I'm not sure what that sky is. It may well be a dome end. It may just be a terrible figment of the picture. There are lots of pictures. George Rayner, 1920s, go and have a look, see what you think. Whatever they found, they were definitely keeping it from you and me. Now, this is the most bizarre room. Every year they meet here. This is called the Antarctic Treaty Room. I have no idea what that's trying to symbolize in the middle. I really don't. They meet here every year, and it was signed in 1959 by sort of 12 countries who were supposedly being active scientists in the great geophysical year of 57 and 58, is what they tell you. So it was ratified in 1961. Now, this treaty is nearly signed by everybody, and it's never going to be broken. Never. Now, you're at war at the minute. There's wars everywhere. Not one country is breaking this. Never. And it's not even up for review until 2045. And no country, no matter how bad things are getting, they are never breaking this treaty, because it's too big. It's too big a secret. Now, you won't get anywhere near it, neither will I. We can pay thousands of pounds to go and get just on the tip of Antarctic shoreline to see some penguins if you want, but you're not going up and you're not independently exploring at all. So did they find the edge? Who knows? What are the implications? Did they find land? Well, I'll tell you something else. They might have tried to find out about the roof. This is something called Operation Fishbowl. I kid you not. All the ancient people thought there's a dome on it. I too am a domer, as it were. They actually did something called Operation Fishbowl. And, you know, they're telling you. And what they did, they sent up missiles for 4 years. 4 years they were sending up what they call nuclear missiles. Now, whether you believe nuclear missiles or not, irrelevant. They were exploding these things high up on the dome itself. There's even a video of it. There's even
Nike
video.
Hercules.
I'm not going to bore you with the videos
Stripey
with the sound, but for 4 years they were sending up huge huge rockets, 4 years with America, Russia, everybody involved. Now, I'm just going to skip along a bit to show you how they explode on the dome. Now, there's a lot of rocket footage, amateur rocket footage, more modern up to date, with rockets getting stuck in the dome, sailing across it, surfing across it. We think, a lot of people think it's water, you know, separating the waters from the waters, if you want to go biblical. But that's what they did in 1962. They actually called it Operation Fishbowl. Let's go and find out what the hell's going on, right? So yeah, they lie. They lie a lot. And by now it's 1960s, and space travel and the television with all the B movies of space was firmly in the minds of the public. So NASA and the fake moon landings. Wow. This is a whole topic you can do on your own. I'm going to try and do it as best I can. Anybody still think we landed on the moon? No, surely not. Not these days. Anyway, the reason that they're all Freemasons is because they have to hide these big secrets. Every single astronaut for the Apollo mission was a Freemason. Buzz Aldrin is a proud American Freemason, ring wearing, whatever. You could not get into these things. If you're going to fool the public, you can't get in unless you're in the club. Now, he is a 33-degree Mason from the Montclair Lodge in New Jersey. Edgar Mitchell, he was another one. He was the Order of the DeMolay Masons at the Artesa Lodge number 29 in New Mexico. James Irwin, Don Issel, Gordon Cooper are all Master Masons, etc., etc., etc. It goes on. Now, there you go. They're not hiding it. They're not hiding it. They're showing you Joachim and Boaz, the towers. They're putting the earth on it. They're showing you all-seeing eye, blah, 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 1969. Oh, that's a bit weird. Very strange indeed. Nothing wrong here. Let's touch the globe. Let's touch the globe to reinforce your programming. Let's do that. There you go. Let's do that as well. Now, Freemasons, what do you mean Freemasons? They didn't have anything to do with the Apollo program. There you go. What's that with the pretend moon lander? Oh, look, little Freemasons doing their thing. And here's the guys, obviously taking a little bit of time off on the moon to, have a break. And of course, this is Buzz in 1969 in what they call a zero-G plane, fully harnessed up with a film crew. You know, you may or may not be aware of some of these images. You may never have seen them, and it all might be new to you for the first time. Now, this thing, oh my good Lord, this thing is the actual lunar lander. This is what they're passing off as the lunar lander. Look at it, use your senses in the harshest environment of space. This thing, this is roofing felt at the bottom, roofing felt. You have curtain rod poles. And if you look at the top where they're, look at the non-join of these panels, you have gold foil. And I'll show you some other things in a minute, which you would never have seen. It's amazing. You have gold tape. It's insane. This thing pretended to go 238,000 miles and come back, change 3 different shapes, have a buggy in it. It's not even a poor man's homeless shelter. It's not as good as one of those. So there you go. But if you haven't looked into Freemasonry before, it's time to really get together. George Washington, first president of America, but he's a Freemason first, Freemason and first president. So you have to understand that most of us do. There's a controlling influence that shapes and guides and lies to us all the time. All MPs, presidents, all of them, everything. They're all in a club or a sisterhood of some kind that you and I are not in that club. It's some more Freemasons at Studland, manufacturing the globe. Thank you, Scott. Okay, so from 1969 to 72, the Freemasons at NASA claim to have landed their Freemasonic Apollo missions on the moon 6 times. 6 times. So with an ingenious bit of deception, a bit of rocket technology from our man Werner von Braun, lots of lies, lots of different silly photographs back in the 60s when the technology was rubbish. That's how they did it. That's how they did it. Now, there's a little video I'm going to show you. It's something you should look at if you've not seen it. It's called A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Moon. And it's the most compelling, amazing thing you will see. I'm going to play a little bit of it.
Of Apollo 11 requested from NASA over a 5-year period. One gem was discovered just before the completion of this documentary. An old reel received by mistake. It contains the raw or unedited footage of the crew of Apollo 11, Michael Collins, Edwin Aldrin Jr. and Neil Armstrong, staging part of their mission for nearly an hour in living color, with exceptionally clear behind-the-scenes audio of conversations discussing the techniques used to achieve a disingenuous picture depicting the Earth at a distance, in order to falsely demonstrate their far journey from it and their ability to survive passing through the Van Allen radiation belts. It cannot be misconstrued that this staging was done for some other reason prior to the mission, for the reel itself is slated and dated July 18th, 19th and 20th, 1969, the very days of the mission when they were said to be approaching and achieving lunar orbit. Furthermore, it is apparent they are in genuine zero gravity aboard the actual spacecraft, necessary to convince the mass media of their
Or
authenticity.
zero-G plane.
Just not any further than Earth orbit, as you will see. In this never-before-seen or heard footage, not only is the radio conversation between the astronauts and Houston Control audible, there is a secondary, private conversation taking place between the crew and a third confidential party, prompting the astronauts with what to say, when to speak, and how to effectively manipulate the camera to achieve the desired misleading effect. NASA claims that the Houston transmissions were the only ones taking place with the astronauts. Listen now as Houston Control initiates a conversation with the crew, only to find them too preoccupied with the behind-the-scenes trickery to respond. Moments pass and the oversight is picked up on by the clandestine third party, who quickly prompts them with talk. Immediately, Neil Armstrong speaks.
Hello, Apollo 11. Houston, Goldstone says that the TV looks great. Over. Okay, Roger. We're coming in on Earth.
Again, the illusion they are attempting to create is the Earth at a distance to demonstrate their far journey from it and their ability to survive passing through the Van Allen radiation belts. Understand, too, that only about 20 seconds of this raw footage was ever broadcast to the public, and these conversations discussing their deception were believed to be private until now.
And there you go. They lie. They've done it specifically. We didn't know the disingenuous picture to be farther away was to show a globe Earth. That's it. That's it, because no one had seen it before like that. So they had to go away. They haven't. That actual video, go and watch it, go and look at it. It shows you them manipulating the porthole, and a piece of card to get that image off of a flat. It's crazy. It's absolutely insane. You know, it became, this image became the most valuable tool that they have. When the iPhone came out, it was on every phone. It's a psychological thing. You see it all the time. It's in movies, it's in logos. It's a programming tool. Now, let's have a look. These images of NASA. Okay, these are new images. Oh no, sorry. These are the bottoms of frying pans. That's right, sorry. These images, because the ones I meant, these are images of Earth, official NASA images. Official, not mucking about. These are official. If you just have a little look with your own eyes, you'll see 2012. Look at America. Look at the size of America there. Look at the size of America there. All different colors, all different pictures, all different sizes. These are all composite images made for your mind. And how do I know that? Because this man makes them. This man is Robert Simon. He is the man responsible for the 2012 image called the Blue Marble. There are many radio interviews, there are many press interviews of telling you how he makes these images. But the best bit of all is when he is quoted and he says, the hard part was creating a flat map of the Earth's surface with 4 months of satellite data. Then we wrapped the flat map around a ball. He's telling you what he's doing. He's wrapping a flat map around a ball. What he used to do, where you get the differences in colors, is what he says is he'd phone some data people and they was say there's not enough plankton, or there was low plankton in Florida this year, or off the coast of Florida, so he'd make it a light blue. And he'd do all that, and he literally made the image up. It's not a real image. None of them are pictures. They call them images. They're not photographs. They're fake. They lie, they do it, and we uncover everything they do, luckily. So there you go. There's another thing. This actual image, not this image, this is the thing, but the actual image of this picture, when you use and put it through Photoshop and put the colors up and everything else, you see how they cut and paste things in. That's obviously not there. This isn't real. They lie all the time. So with a skeptical eye and a bit of common sense, you can see how they dissect loads and loads of their images. Very difficult to get all the original ones now, obviously. You know, so they lie. This is what they do. Here you go, some more. Why make that? What's the point? What are you doing? Why you've got runners here for cameras? What, you know, what the hell's going on? What's he doing? The moon, it's a very strange thing. It's a light. It's not solid. It is not a solid object. You couldn't land on it even if you wanted to. Sometimes if you look at the moon in the daytime, you can see the blue sky through the craters. That's what some people say. And for 1 or 2 days every month, it's never seen anywhere in the world, ever. It's called a new moon. It's never seen. So it's not a solid object. It is a light. Another thing, people say it's a sphere. It's not a sphere. It's some form of disk. If you look at these images here, all these darker ones, they are spheres. Look how light gets cast on a sphere. Okay, you have an intense area and then the light fades off as it gets further from that intense area. With a moon, look at the full moon. You have an equal lit from edge to edge all the time. There is no fade off. So it cannot definitely be a, it's definitely not a sphere. Definitely not at all. Here's some people say you can see stars through the moon. Here's a lot of flags depicting that sort of thing. It's a hollow light. Some say it's cold plasma. Some say that the sun is hot plasma. Very, very difficult to know, but that's currently where we are. Now, surely, if the moon landing was real, there must be some evidence, right? Of course it is. It's the biggest achievement of mankind. What about some telemetry data or something, you know? Well, let's find out.
I'd go to the moon in a nanosecond. The problem is we don't have the technology to do that anymore. We used to, but we destroyed that technology, and it's a painful process to build it back again.
He's an astronaut, by the way. He is NASA's finest. He sounds retarded, he looks retarded, and he is not an astronaut. He has never been to space. He's an idiot. We've lost the technology to go to the moon again. Are you sure? Are you sure? And he had the processing power of a small calculator, but you've lost the technology to go back. You know, these are the things we have to put up with. Lastly, on the moon. I mean, where on earth in the entire world would you find an astronaut, Arthur C. Clarke, science fiction writer, Stanley Kubrick, and the chief administrator from the Apollo, all in the same picture, walking down a London street before they go and make the video of the moon landing, right? Crazy. There's a couple of other things I was going to do. I'll come back to this in a minute. If you get thermometers, you can test the moon's temperature. The moon is a cold light. It does not reflect the sun. Okay, remember that. Get a temperature, go and get the thermometers. It produces its own cold light. It's as simple as that. If you take a reading of something in the shade away from the moonlight, you'd think it would be colder. It's not, it's warmer. The moon is always colder, always. The moonlight is always colder than the surrounding. It's a very strange thing, and it can be measured and tested. We've done it ourselves. Now we're getting into it. The faking of space is literally fundamental to make you believe, to make you believe, we said this before, in Big Bang, in aliens, in space, in planets, to make you feel insignificant, that there's a billion other things exactly the same as you. And they control the higher regions of the sky, NASA do, and they also control the sides as well. So there you are. Now, they had to fake the space. They had to fake space to hide the dome. They have to do that. And the Antarctic Treaty is to hide the edge. End of. Now, 1986. Remember this? Space Shuttle Challenger. The explosion was viewed by everyone in the world. It was, oh, gasps. Oh, my God. The brainwashing was proper in. Guess what? These America, NASA's finest. Guess what? Didn't die. Didn't die. No one goes to space. Remember that. No one goes in a rocket. Here they are. Oh, let's do it then. Okay. 2 female crews. This lady here, Judith Rensek and Sharon McAuliffe, are alive and well, still using their same names. Up until 1998, I think Judith Rensek was teaching in 2 American universities. Okay, Richard Sobey here, Dick Scobie, this one here. There he is. Hi, Dick. Still uses his same name. That's him today. He runs a company. He's the MD of a marketing company called Cows in Trees. Go and have a look. You can see it all. They lie to you. Unless all of these people had twins, they didn't. No one goes to space. That simple. Space is everything you know is a lie. It's a complete lie. This is how they faked it in the 80s. If you've not seen this before, you just think, what is going on? Let me play the video. See what you think.
Basically, our arrangement, our Dan said in the pilot
This is in the
seat
80s.
during this operation, sort of monitoring the motion of the vehicle, making sure that it was steady and that there were very few
Look to the right.
vibrations of any sort. This is a picture of the INSAT actually being deployed from the spacecraft. You can see that the deploy went very smoothly. At the moment of...
Okay. Okay. Whether you noticed it or you didn't notice it, I'm going to play it again and I'm going to talk you through it. No, I'm not. Not yet. Do it again. This is in the 80s. This man is the pilot
during this operation,
pilot of the
sort of
space shuttle.
monitoring
Bearing in
the
mind, he's in a
motion of the vehicle, making sure that it was steady
really
and
real.
that
The worst thing they used to do is they used to use models.
Vibrations.
Here it goes. That's a model going up. And there's the guy.
Of the INSAT actually being deployed from the space.
I'm in the shot. I must get out of the way. It's a model. It's not real. They don't go to space. That's that. There's loads of things. NASA you can debunk all day. Loads of videos, loads of proof. 19. Moving on a little bit more now. Okay, sorry, 1988 sees the construction of the ISS, International Space Station. Oh, incidentally, go and try and look for some footage of it being built ever. Nothing, because it's not real. But we'll come to that. NASA's finest men and women. Here we are. Here they are. All aboard the ISS. Look at them. Look how superbly, amazingly technical and wonderful they look. They're all just scumbags from the street, I'm sure. But here, look, they're in the capsule. Don't forget, that's the Earth out here. You got a window here. Cool, thank goodness. You got a window here, and oh, look, it's open. Oh bugger. Oh shit. Wow, it's open. The window's open. What can we do? Nothing. We just take the picture because we like to mock you. But don't worry. Don't worry. There it is. Window. You didn't even put fingerprints on the actual parts of the window. It's insane. It's insane. This guy must know what he's doing, though. He has the key. Right. Excellent. He's left the window open as well. Look. And there's a sign here. It says, keep closed unless you're taking pictures. It's a film set. It's a studio. They're not in space. Here's another one. Superb. Look at the Earth. Oh, we forgot to draw the rest of it. Oh, bugger. Look, we've just got the top bit. The bottom bit, oh, shit. All official NASA images, by the way. Look at this one. Oh, look, NASA's fine. He's out there doing the repairs. No mucking about. But hold on. He couldn't even put his shoes on the right feet. He couldn't do it. Just down here, this is tape. This is like Band-Aid tape. This whole thing is a model. It's in a studio. They're not in space. I wouldn't trust him to change a plug here, let alone 400 miles in the sky. He can't even put his shoes on. It's a joke. All of it is a joke, but they play for your mind. Now, NASA themselves, there are hundreds and thousands of documents from all the alphabet agencies, FBI, CIA, Army, military, plenty of intelligence. This is from NASA, though. This is from NASA. They don't muck about. They're going to tell you themselves. They're going to say, well, a rigid aircraft of constant flying mass, don't worry about the globe, because you have to be over a stationary atmosphere, over a flat, non-rotating Earth. This is how they train them. You have to assume that, because that's what it is, because you couldn't land a space shuttle on a spinning, wobbling ball. So they tell you it's flat. They tell you it's non-rotating. This is from NASA themselves. This is how they did it in the 90s. This is how they fake it in the 90s. This is insane as well. They use wires and green screens. This is the 90s. It's just generally wires. Oh, be careful, be careful, be careful. Don't show the wire. Don't pull the wire. Don't pull the wire. Oh, don't pull the wire. Okay. Oh, he's pulled the wire. He's pulled the wire. I can't. Oh, bugger. Right. Yeah. It's absolutely insane. If you look at the beginning part of this, her ridiculous hair. I don't know. We're gonna have to do. He's gonna try and spin over to show he's in zero gravity. He's panicking here. So's the bloke there. He's all caught up in his wires. Oh my God! Put it down, love. That's it. There you go. Right. Okay. And like I say, there are thousands and thousands and thousands of. It's embarrassing. You see the wires. You see everything. Now. Bit lost now, I think. Hold on, nearly there. Bear with me. Okay, another one. This is how they do it now. Now they do use harnesses now, but they use green screens and virtual reality layers. Very, very important. Keep your eye. I'm going to play you the video and we'll go through it. This is insane. This is the most insane thing I've seen. It's not a joke. You're absolutely right. Now they use green screen layering. I'll take the sound off. Now you'll see in the back there's these two monkeys, they've all got khakis and belts on, right? Crazy. Look at the back. What they forget to do with some of the layers, they forgot to layer out his bloody harness. They forgot to layer out his harness that they swing from. It's insane. That's not what I want to show you, but that's insane. And eventually it goes on and they do some kind of crazy, I don't know what it is, some sort of ritual perhaps, because they then throw a guinea pig, which you're just about to see. Bear with, he's going backwards and forwards a lot on his harness. Look, there you go. He's still going. Let's have a look. Let's try and find the guinea pig, shall we? Oh, maybe we missed the guinea pig. Can't miss the guinea pig. I don't want to miss the guinea pig. The guinea pig is excellent. You can't see the guinea pig. What a shame. I'll try and find it, but they throw a guinea pig across. It's absolutely insane. Why? I don't know. I think you're going to see it now. No, that's him coming in and out of the layers as well that you saw there. I think the guinea pig's coming any second now. Look at the layers. He's going over, in and out of all the things. It's a bit insane. I'm going to keep it on there because I still can't understand why they do throw a guinea pig across, but this is the bit I want to show you. Virtual reality layering. Oh, did you see the guinea pig? Watch him at the back. Hold on. I have no idea why they did this, but watch. There's a guinea pig. No idea. No, it's insane. The virtual reality layering, the guy on the left in the green, there he goes again, right? Insane. I don't know why. The guy in the green is looking at a screen. He's looking at a virtual reality layered screen when we get there in a minute. The guy on the right in the foreground here is spinning a hat, which probably isn't there at all. Virtual reality layering. Now zoom on a bit so you don't. What he's going to do, he's going to pass his microphone to him. He thinks that's the cue when he moves his arm. Oh, look, I'll put it back. Hold on. I'll put it back. And this is just rework. And look at his eyes. He's looking at the screen going, oh, shit, what's going on? He's trying to pass him something. He's saying, no, I've already got it. I'll take it from you. Thanks, mate. I'll put it over there. This is virtual reality layering and how they deceive you now. Look at his eye. He's going, oh, my God, panic stations. Okay. So that's how they do it now. This is another one. This is a great one. Virtual reality layering. Hi, guys. Yeah, thanks very much. See you all later. Great. Oh, shit. Where have they gone? The rest of the place is the same. Oh, my God. They're just, what's happening to them? Obviously, let's cut and go back to thing control because they use virtual reality layering. And that's how they do it. So you may never have seen some of those things before, you know, so that's how they do things now. Okay, we're coming to the end. It's nearly finished. What I want you to remember is when you look up at the sky and not NASA CGI, most of us look at these images and go, wow, look at those planets. They're amazing. They're just pictures. They're just made up images. Real images are very similar to these, what you can see up above, not the best images, but there are plenty of examples you can find online. Look at the difference, what you actually see through a telescope and what they want you to believe is happening. Same with Saturn, same with Venus. There's a video with Venus going across the sky and you can see it in the water. It's very, very strange. Look, that's Pluto. They it's a dusty old rock. It's not. None of them are. None of them are dusty old rocks at all. This is what a star is. If I get past there, go there. These are stars. I can't remember what star this is, but they are constantly changing in energy, frequency, and vibration. They are set into what I believe is the firmament. They are not very far away. Chinese astrology, any astrology where frequencies of the stars could affect you, if they were quadrillions of miles away, it would be pointless, right? So they're very small, they're very close, and they do these sorts of things. They're not rocks, they're not suns, they're very weird little orbs of light. So when you've got a camera, go and have a look, go and see for yourself the difference between what they're telling you they are. Lastly, long distance photography and showing the Earth to be flat. Look at this. There's a picture there, 443 kilometers away you are looking. This is the thing. This is the Achilles heel for all science. This is the thing that kills science completely for a globe. This is what they give us. This is their measurement and how you measure curvature, okay, from our pretend ball. So 1 mile is 8 inches because it's 8 inches per mile squared. 2 miles, 32 inches. That's how much it's curving. Now, 443 kilometers, we could see a mountain across the sea. 443 kilometers is, let's say, I don't know, let's say 300 miles. Let's say 200 miles. That mountain should have been 5 miles below the curvature. 5 miles. You wouldn't have been able to see it. It's a lie. We can see too far. We can always see too far. And this is the Achilles heel for them. You know, rather than saying I can see a ship at 20 miles away, they will tell you, oh no, don't trust your eyes. It's a non-looming, heavily refracted image that's come from the bottom of the globe and somehow managed to come up into your eye line. And that's what people believe. And that is what people believe that they're seeing when they're not. It's a flat Earth. You can see that far. Good. You know, you can see a lot longer if you have infrared. And that's it. Werner von Braun. I'll leave you with this, with a picture of our rocket engineer, you know, our guy that is our hero, really, our anti-hero. Psalms 19:1. Anybody know what it is? I'll give you a clue. Now, this is the grandfather of rocket technology, leaving us a breadcrumb. The heavens declare the glory of God, and the firmament showeth his handiwork. Why would a rocket engineer say that? I don't know. But thank you very much. That's it. The Earth is flat. It doesn't move. thanks for bearing with me. I know it's taken a little bit of time. Thank you. Sorry about that. If you're still awake and you've got some questions, then go for it. Do you want me to stop sharing the screen?
Yes, please. I don't think how anybody could not be still awake. I'm going to stop the recording for any questions that there are.
Okay, great.
And
there you go.
Yeah, I don't know how anybody could not still be awake. Your enthusiasm itself has carried us along with your story. It was an excellent presentation. Thank you very, very much for that, Ian. And to be quite honest, I was sitting here trying desperately to take notes, remember to take notes, and then I found myself laughing with you out loud here by myself in the attic room at some of these screens that you showed us and so on. And there was just so much of it. And
it's a really long presentation. It's
oh no, I don't mean the presentation. I mean the lies, the length that they've got to try and convince us of what's happening there. So
well, the good thing is, Susan, is you're seeing that from a past point of view, but you've just lived through the biggest deception that we're going through. You know, they lie. They want us dead. They don't want us to be what we are capable of being. They want us controlled and dead. Basically, they want us dead, and they'll use the overpopulation thing. It's utter nonsense. I think you can fit 7 billion people in like Texas or something with an acre or something insane. So.
Yeah. We were just talking about that the other night, but you're right. They want enough people left to do the work for them and sweep the ashes at their fire, and everybody else can just be dead, please, thank you. And we've lost Ross and Lisa, but they did make a comment in the box to say that they were out in the middle of nowhere and having.
Malcolm's just written something, I think. Confirmed our thoughts.
Yeah, thank you, and that was brilliant. Really enjoyed. Confirmed our thoughts, police research. You've got questions from Sarah and Mary. So Sarah, on you go. Remember and unmute. Yeah.
Thank you, Ian. That was really interesting as usual.
Thanks, Sarah.
Could you tell me what you think the regular, predictable sort of meteor showers are, and asteroids and bits of rock and iron that sort of fall to Earth? Where do you think they're from? What do you think they are?
Well, what I do know is they are not rocks from outer space, and all the craters that you see on this Earth from pretend asteroids, there's no rocks. They must just get out and crawl and walk away or something. I don't know. From what I understand them to be, they could be anything in terms of something that's fallen off the firmament. Perhaps we see them at the same time, roughly the same time every year. They could be anything. When you see, if you're on a globe, for example, you should see shooting stars coming upwards from the horizon. You don't. You only ever see them coming down. So you're not on a ball. You're on a flat plane. That's the first thing. What they are, though, Sarah, is I really don't know. They could be anything. There's no. We're told that they're rocks and they could be this. And don't forget, they want us in fear. So any time an asteroid can take us out, like they did with the dinosaurs that don't exist, it's all to do with that. They have to keep the illusion of space and keep you in fear. And we're not. And the minute we all stand up properly, it's over. The whole thing is over for them. Their lives won't matter anymore. But for now, there's still people driving along with a mask in the car. So it's, So yeah, what are asteroids and what are these things? I don't know. Maybe parts of the dome, maybe bits that fall off each time in their cycle. But I don't know is the honest answer.
Yeah, but flat Earth keeps me in a high vibration actually.
Something I've found with flat Earth, when you go through all the other conspiracies, which most of us have gone through, right? The difference between this one, and it's a real difference, is because you know that there's no Big Bang, right? There's none. So someone made it. Someone created this for you. And that's really the thing of flat Earth. You find a divine truth, which you've never had before. You've never worked something out to go, oh my God, someone made it. Maybe there is a God. you know, all these people thought there was a God that made this earth, and we have our own biblical scripture that tells us that. So yeah, it's very deep. It's on a deeper level. Not only do they lie to us, they are lying to us about a creator. That's the key, and that is why it's fundamental more than any other conspiracy. They can go and bomb, do all their stuff. It's irrelevant, because all it is for control of your mind, right? It's to keep you, like you say, sweeping the roads, paying your taxes, doing your stuff, serving those evil, you know, people. What they are, those, I don't want to call them elite because they're scumbags, but you know,
we call them the cult,
the parasites.
Anything, you know. So that's what it is, and that's why the flat earth is different, because it snaps you out of all of that. You don't need that stuff, because you know there's a creator. So holy shit, you know, this is real serious. So for me, you're resonating with a divine truth for the first time ever in your life, and that's why it feels different. And you know, once you get it and you go into a dark room for 10 days and go, oh my God, this can't be real, you come out with gnosis, with knowledge, with divine knowledge, and no other conspiracy can do that.
Yeah, I didn't actually feel that when I sort of first started looking into it. I felt really positive. I thought,
yeah, it's a positive thing. It really is. It's a knowing of something that's real for the first time, is the way I sort of looked at it. But
yeah, and
it affects people in different ways.
You use your God-given senses and just look and see, and it's just, yeah, to me it's proof just by going out and looking.
Well, the thing is, sometimes it takes a trigger for someone to say, no, that's not right, because you don't question. Nobody questions it. They go out and look at the stars. Yeah, they're great. You know, great. They're stars. And we're told that, and we don't want to question it because it's boring. And what difference is it going to make to my life, you know? And that's why they spend all the money. NASA gets something like $70 million a day. I don't think it's that much, $50 million a day, every day, to give you shitty CGI images that you think are real. And pictures of Devon Island with a pretend little remote control car on it they think is Mars. And they've taken people's soul. It's a soul lure system, right? That's what it is. It's taking your soul and all of your power away. And once you get flat earth, you get it back. You go, whoa, and you reclaim every bit of your power that you've given away. And that's why when you find the flat earth, you can see everything. You honestly, you can see everything, because you know that what you're up against. And that's why I mean,
there is a lot that we don't know, but yeah, there's still, it's quite exciting, because I think we will find out. I'm hopeful that we will find out.
I hope we do. I mean, like I say, the flat earth isn't new. It's been since the time of creation. So it has swathes of going in and out of popularity, and they try and kill it a lot. And 2015-14 was the latest one, and it's gone insane. So, you know, and I was saying to Susan earlier, normally when a population gets to a point of understanding stuff and realizing that their captors are scumbags, they deflect it with, I don't know, a royal wedding, a war, a COVID, anything they can to separate and divide us. And that's what they do. They're good at it. But flat earthers are better.
Mary, do you want to come in here?
Okay. Right. My husband was an airline pilot, and he asked me a question which I couldn't answer. So on the flat earth map, the flight time from Sydney to Auckland is approximately 2.5 to 3 hours. And if you look at the map, the distance from Sydney to Auckland is similar to the distance from London to New York, but that takes 7 hours. Right. So
on the map, you can see behind me.
Yeah, that's the Gleason one, isn't it?
That's right. You have trade winds. We have trade winds. We'll know about the trade winds. You have the same thing in the sky. Planes are supposed to be traveling 500 to 600 miles an hour. No, they don't. They can travel so much faster than that with the wind, up to 1,500 miles an hour. So if you're going, I don't know, you're in Australia, you're going from one side to the other, or there or thereabouts. If you're coming down here, where the trade wind is, you're going at God knows how fast, and then you're coming in. And it's the same when they do the long distances from, say, Australia to, I don't know, South America. Sometimes it's a straightaway cross and you can measure that. Sometimes there's airlines that don't do a stop. There's a straight flight and they don't travel that way. They travel around here, the trade winds, and they go, goodness, so much faster. So yeah, it's a very strange thing.
Oh, thank you.
That's my understanding of it. That's my research into it. I'm not, to be honest, we don't know what this place is. We know it doesn't move. We know it doesn't spin. We know we've been sold a lie. We don't know what this place is. We know it's roughly like that. That's it. That's really all our understanding. So once you realize that, though, you have to start picking away everything. And that's why it's a deep subject.
Mm.
Outside the ice wall, or the other side of the ice wall, they were saying there was a land mass as big as America. Because I'm wondering now, I mean, I'm not as far down the line as Sarah, but if you've got that dome, do you not believe in aliens or people other than us?
I'm not saying
be on the other landmass? Could there be people different from us on the other landmass and traveling over different ships? And
a couple of things with that. I think that's what's happening. I think that's what happened. There could be a situation where this is a playground area and all the other lands take people in. Chinese people shouldn't be here. They're not a native. That's a scientific thing. They're not a native thing to anywhere in these parts of the earth. They shouldn't be here as Chinese people. So we're told. There's videos just recently of ships 582 meters long, 400 miles into Antarctica. Right, and you trap it on the marine ship app or whatever they are. 400 miles in is a long way. So they're either bringing stuff in and out or doing whatever they're doing in Antarctica. I think there's more land, yeah, for sure. I definitely think there's more land. I think lots of ancient maps show it. Lots of old maps, unrestricted travel before 1960, when you could get a hot air balloon. We had a hot air balloon phantasma in this earth. Everything was hot air ballooned. They were every single place and they were getting charged on top of the buildings, etc. Thousands and thousands of them. You could go for miles and miles. And I think that's how these maps, the earlier maps, were created. People stopped the balloon, went over and did it. Obviously, you can't do that now. You get shot down. There's plenty of videos of people trying to get past the 60th South Parallel. Jarl Hoy, I think that's his name. He got arrested actually and sent back and deported back to his country. There's a video recently where they're trying to do it off the coast of Australia, warships, aeroplanes and everything else. And so all around this thing is protected by military and UN, whatever you want to call it. You can't go. They're not letting you go. Is there something beyond the Antarctic ice wall, the shoreline? Yeah, for sure. Admiral Byrd said it. And I'm quite convinced.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if there's other people with a higher level technology, because our technology has frozen in some ways, and I suspect there's a greater technology somewhere. Is it there?
Well, listen, there's a new the study of research at the moment is mud flood and prehistory, and we are not the first people on this earth. There were giants, there were whole civilizations before us. We built on top of it. That's it. In the 1800s, 1900s, we had a revolution of everything. Everybody knew about electronics and magnetics. The whole world was run on steam. The whole world was run on magnetics. It was incredible. You had battery scooters in the 1900s. You had a full range of electric cars off all charged. And we've gone backwards in technology. You're absolutely right. Absolutely right. And just getting back to, are there extraterrestrials? Yeah. Extra land, extra terra, extraterrestrial. They don't come from up there. That's it. So yeah, when people say, "Oh, I've seen aliens," and all that, yeah, you may well have. There could be, if that ancient Chinese map is real. There's 35 other continents, massive things. So God knows what's there. We have no idea. I don't know, but I think we're going to find out. I think in the news in June, when this was all kicking off with Russia, we had a breadcrumb that he was going to cancel the Antarctic Treaty. That's what Putin was, and everyone went, what? Which means it will be from Russia free to go, which is insane if that ever happens. I think the world's a lot worse than that at the moment. I don't know what's going to happen, but it's not up for renewal till 2045. No one's going to break it because they know how important it all is, and they're all in the same club that we're not in. So, but things are changing a little bit. You know, we're waking up. So.
I think the cabal has been taken down, to be honest. And
I'd like to think so. I'm not a Q person. I'm not that way. But
well,
I think even in the news, you can see, you know, and even in the other back parts, you can see things. I don't think Trump's the hero. I think he's a better version than the other one. But he was, you know, there was an interview with him just recently with someone saying, well, hold on a minute, you did warp speed for the vaccines. What are you talking about? You got them in like no other president. You got them in faster than anybody else. So which side are you on? You know, do you want to kill people or do you want to save the world? So it's just the other side of the same coin. It's, don't forget to divide us in any way, politics, like anything, all things, division is key. So you have 50% of America love Trump, whatever, the anti-hero, and the other 5% love Biden, and he stole the election, right? That's fair enough. That's fair enough. But you're not dealing with Biden. You're dealing with probably right the way up the line. It's evil. It's satanic. It's
I think we've got that, but I think whether it's Trump or not, and I'm not going to hold my breath waiting for Trump to come along in his white Charger and rescue me. That's for sure.
Thank God.
But I think there is. I don't know what we'll refer to as white hats in opposition to black hats or whatever, because we're seeing, for instance, the paedophile ring being broken. We're seeing that.
Well, hold on. This is where I have a problem. Not a problem with it, but my view is slightly different. We've known about paedophilia and paedophile rings and satanic blood drinking cults well before Q, well before any of that. We've known all about it. And when you're saying they're getting broken up now, all that's happening is because it's being exposed, they're throwing the idiots under the bus, the Rolf Harrises, the whoever, right? They're throwing them under the bus. Epstein's client list, do people really think that's going to happen? It's not. It won't get that far. When it does, like I say, when people are getting up to a certain vibrational level of wanting to know and catching them out, there's going to be a war. There's going to be a something. And then it'd be tomorrow. The thing that I think is coming, which you might all think I'm insane for, there's going to be a fake alien invasion, I think, personally. I know some people don't agree with it. I think that will come just after the 2024 election. And this is another thing, the amnesia of it all. People are still voting in the same system that they knew was stolen. I don't understand people. So it's a literal insane world. But if you want to unite the entire population to do what you want to do, or most of the population, you can have your war and you can divide them and do whatever. But one thing that Ronald Reagan said back in his little speech is, what would we have if we were influenced from an outside threat where we all had to band together? And I think that's what's going to happen, because I think they'll want, they can do it with strontium holograms. It's all, I'll do another presentation on it soon, but I think that's what will probably happen, because you'll see it in real time outside. You won't see it on the television. It will be something you can't discern with your eyes because they'll be there. Starlink satellites, have a look at that, and optical data, phase arrays, all of that stuff if you ever want to get into it. But I think that's probably what will happen. I think the world will be so disjointed and crashed and low. There'll still be wars, and you're going to want humankind to band together to fight our common enemy. And in my crazy little, what's going to happen? Trump comes along, best negotiator ever. No one can negotiate like Trump. Does the deal, releases the tech, delivers everybody into the new world order. That's my personal thing and what I think he's going to do. I don't know if it's going to happen or not. I don't know. Next week, none of us do. But
yeah, let's hope we don't end up in the new world order. But the couple of things you said there, you're going to do another presentation. If you've pulled together another presentation, get back in touch with me. We'll definitely have you back. But before we just,
I've written it. I haven't done the slideshow for it.
We'll definitely have you back for that one. Just let me know when you're ready. But I'm going to let Sarah in. She's her hand up, patiently waiting there. Sarah, the last word for this evening.
Yeah, no, I just, on the extra territory thing, and because there are so few of us that are awakened and know what's going on, do you think we could have come from the extra territory? maybe
honestly, everything's off the table. We don't know, we really don't know. I can't stop getting this thing out of my mind that we're sending ships backwards and forwards to because we must have known about these extra lands at least since the 40s, right? At least since he's seen them. And there is a video of Admiral Byrd, it's probably still on Google, of the land. You can see it, the whole thing. It's insane. So are we from those places? Really interesting. I don't know. Like I say, I don't think they say in science the Chinese shouldn't be here for some reason. Maybe there are lands and this is the smorgasbord of life, and they bring you from the other lands here and bang, there you go, there's your population. But if you ever want to get into mud floods and all of that sort of side, there was a time where there were only kids here, right? I think there was only kids. I don't know what happened to the adults. I have no idea. They all populated the workhouses and then went on to populate. But look at orphan trains. Look at how they populated the entire world. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of kids. Where were the parents? I don't know. I don't know what happened.
They had those weird incubators at the World's Fairs, didn't they, as well?
It's a real strange. And look at the World's Fairs. Look at the technology. So we know we're not we've come from somewhere fairly recently-ish, perhaps, or I don't know. I really don't know, but I think we're all relatives of the people in the orphan trains, I would have thought. I don't know. I really don't know. But the flat earth gives you the ability to at least start questioning that way based on the things that you can work out with the territory where it is. You know? So.
I've got Janie with her hand up. Janie, if you come in with your question.
Hi, Janie. Two questions. I absolutely loved it. That was brilliant. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Question one is, why do you think they chose a globe? And question two, how do we get in touch with you and join your club? Because I've been trying for a couple of years to get in touch with flat earthers and it's all dead ends.
Okay. First question, why do I think it's a globe? I think because they've done the math. The globe works. If you apply maths to a globe, it works. Everything works. They're not stupid. They know how to do it. Why they chose that and not a triangle, I don't know. Maybe it's easier to fake a globe. I really don't know why they chose that as the shape. The other one about the joining the club, we have a flat earth social Telegram group. I don't know how to give you the details now, but I'll give it to perhaps Susan and she can put it in her groups if you like, and then join it that way. But there's an awful lot of flat earth groups. Look at Facebook, type in a flat earth and see what groups there are. There's loads, hundreds of thousands of groups of flat earth. It's massive. It's bigger than anything you can probably realize right now, particularly at this point when the world's going insane and people are going, well, hold on a minute. We know a bit more than just this being a war and this and that. And people want to know, we were saying earlier with Susan, that COVID woke up all the women. It really woke up all the women. Flat earth in 14 and 15, it was only men. There were no women with it. COVID's woken up all the women, and women, as wonderful creatures as you are, you're nosy, right? So you want to know stuff. You want to thirst for knowledge. And I thank God that you all woke up. So and you know, the more we go, the more we want to find out. And that's why flat earth is popular now.
Yeah.
And Mary, is he okay? He just come in?
He's the pilot.
Okay.
Right. If there are no other questions, I'm going to thank you again profusely for that. And as I say, as much as the information was enlightening, your enthusiasm really carried it across.
Oh, that's nice of you to say so. Thank you.
Honestly, and you made it amusing and riveting and interesting, and as you said, researchable. So it's everything we would want in a presentation. I can't thank you enough for that, Ian. It was absolutely most excellent.
Wow. I'm very humbled and flattered. Thank you very much. I really appreciate that.
Can I ask one last question?
Yes.
How do you pronounce your surname, Ian?
How do you think it's pronounced?
Well, I say Leahy.
Correct. That's it.
It is that. Leahy.
Oh, I've been called all sorts. Lee Ho, anything. It's not my actual real name is Payne, Payne, but Mum married, you know, all that sort of stuff. Change the name. I should have stuck with Payne. I'm not sure which one was worse, but there you go.
I still wouldn't spell it properly. Anyway, as I say, when you get your other presentation on the
that's you have to understand that's only slightly researched, and it's a little bit of my brain, not factual truths that you can research. So I'll try and put it into a bit more of a thing.
Yeah, but hearing somebody else's opinion even gives everybody else food for thought. We might not directly accept it, we might start questioning it, but it's more food for thought. And there's so much stuff that we've just said tonight we don't know. We can all just have opinions on, because the truth has been kept from us. Therefore, we've had to make it up as we go along.
Can I just say, sorry, Susan, can I just say one thing that I have forgotten totally, right? You can all research this stuff, but there is an app, and Sarah, you're aware of it. There's an app called the Flat Earth Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app. It's by a friend of mine called David Weiss. The app is by Blue Water Bay. It's about 10 quid. Get it. Because every single question that you have about flat Earth, how does the tides work? How does the sun move? How does the seasons work? How does the moon, are all on there. Everything is on there. Plus, every decent video that YouTube didn't censor is on there. It's the best repository for flat Earth that's ever been. So and also, if you ever become a flat earther, you find it's a very difficult subject to talk to non-flat earthers, a bit like the COVID thing, right? There's an app on there which can put you in touch worldwide with every flat earther that uses the app. So if you ever want to talk or meet up in groups, this is what we do when we have a flat earth social evening in Swanage. We email up to about 50 kilometers away, and we get people who have never done it before, such as Sarah and Mary came along. We had about 5 new people in the last one that we had. So flat earth is massive and people want to know, but they've got no one to talk to. So flat earth social evenings where they can speak freely. So it's can
you give me, when you send me the notes with the telegram,
yeah, I'll send you the flat
send
earth
me the details of that app as well.
I will. I promise you it will be the best investment you make. It's £10 or $10.
Well, I think actually it's not that much. It's not 10.
I think it's 10 if you do it all, $2.99
it's not coming
a
through,
month.
Janie.
Is that the app, Janie?
We're just seeing a white screen.
Yeah, it says cannot connect to App Store. So it's refusing, that's Apple refusing to let me get to that app. So there you go. This is why I'm having difficulty, because I'm using appliances that they don't want me connecting.
That might be your is that from Wi-Fi, Janie?
Yeah.
It might be your provider blocking content like that. They do, some of them do. I don't know why, but I'll send it. It's the best. It really is the best resource. It shows you there. You have the sun and the moon. It tells you exactly where they are.
Oh, brilliant.
Anytime you can look at it, you can test it, you can measure it. It's not very clear, but all of these things, that's speeding it up if you want to do that. All of this here, all of these things here are all the videos, all of the podcasts, all of the information, and it's really, really good. I promise you, I use it all the time now when people say, well, what about sunsets? What about this? I don't have time to talk to it. There, go and watch those 10 videos that you can't find anywhere in the world apart from on that server. So yeah, it's the best thing ever. Flat Earth, Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app by Blue Water Bay. So go and do it. Thank you.
I'm still trying. Right, no, I'll wait until you send me the details. Right, and I don't have to stop it there, but we're used to stopping at 9 o'clock, and obviously folk have questions, been carried away by this, so we've run over. But I can only reiterate my thanks to you, and thanks everybody for turning up.
Thank you.
I'll see you next week for Maureen.
Thanks very much indeed. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Ian.
Oh,
Bye.
great to have you.
Bye, guys.
Thanks very much.
Bye.
Have a great evening. Bye, guys. See you soon, Sarah. And you, Mary.
Yeah.
Bye, guys.
Bye, folks.
Really enjoyed it. Really informative. Thank you.
Thanks, Linda.